So today we're going to be talking about creating from the universe, because it is a time of mastery. It's a time that we get the instructions, read them thoroughly, and get on with using them. And we can only do that if, here we go. We can only do that if we know what we want. So they want you to think of the first thing that comes to mind when they say to you, what is it materially that you would like to have that you don't right now have? So think the first thing that comes into your mind, and don't correct the first thing that comes to mind. It's really interesting. The first thing that comes to mind is our truth, and straight away behind it will be a judgment on that. So maybe you would say, materially, I'd like a bigger house. And then you think, oh, hang on a minute, if I'm saying I want something else, oh no, it's the car. Which is it, the house, the car? It is that first thing that came to mind. Materially, what would you like that you don't actually have? And then secondly, emotionally and with your feelings and who you are, who would you like to be that you don't think you are right now? What emotion would you cultivate? What would you like more of? And again, that first thing that comes to mind, is it I'd like to be more peaceful, I'd like to be happier, I'd like to be more compassionate, I'd like to be less angry. What is it that you're not now that you could see you have the potential to be? Because these are the things that we need to start clearing up. And right back at the beginning, when I was teaching the power of thought, oh my goodness, 25 years ago, when the universe first told me about the power of thought, I honestly thought they were talking complete gobbledygook. It just didn't make sense how anything we could be thinking about could have any power. 25 years later, I can't understand how people can't get that our thoughts have power. So that's how quickly we have evolved. Literally have evolved, because it's obviously it's not me, just me on the planet, it's this whole group awakening. So you've got me over this call in little place in Hampshire, and then you've got someone over in Surrey, and you've got someone in New Zealand. You see, we're all doing this waking up and all going through these mysteries for ourselves. And then right now we're all coming together, and all the material, when it's genuine and true, you will find all mix and match with each other and blend, and we're all on the same page, we're all saying the same things, and that's really exciting. But what we need to do when we start using the law of attraction and intention, we literally have to decide what it is we want. Now, there is nothing wrong in wanting material things. There's nothing wrong with that. But for so long, we've been taught that we have to renounce all our material goods to be in touch with God. Now, that's a man-made law, and that's not how our God, and excuse me if that word offends you, but that's not how God works at all. Yeah, we don't have to give up anything except our lower vibrations if we want to fly higher and use the energies of the universe. Because you cannot see the sunshine if you're swimming in a swamp. You simply can't. So the only rule of the universe is you have to come out of the swamp, have a shower, and get out in the sunshine to experience the joy of the universe and experience the workings of it all. But even when you're in the swamp, the mechanics of the universe works the same. So if you're in, and when I say swamp, it doesn't mean it's a bad place, it just means it's a darker place. Lots of things survive in a swamp, but it's not necessarily a nice place for us to be. And we could be in there with only one thing, a trauma of some description has put us in the swamp. And that trauma has been our blockage to go forward. And what I found interesting over the last few weeks is that we keep saying we're unlayering, we're peeling back, and taking out all this pain until we feel red raw. We don't feel as though we have any pain left to experience. However, what I found with again, clients, friends, family, it all sort of comes together in 1 week, is that there is a blockage that says my pain comes from this starting point. So if you're a person in pain, say you had somebody die, you have put your trauma into your pain of somebody dying. What I have experienced this week is that actually there's an awful lot of trauma before that happened. So this trauma could be an accident. It could be losing a job. It could be losing a boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be, do you understand? The trauma itself will be applicable to whose trauma it is. So there's no measurement that one person's trauma is worse than the other person's trauma. But you could say, I have trauma because my partner died, but the trauma you're carrying from it is actually from when your pet died when you were 3 or disappeared and you didn't know what happened to it. So we're being now encouraged to look higher to what we want, but to do that, we have to really be prepared to loosen this and find out what this could possibly be. And this is fearful. And because some of us are dragging this fearful stuff, it is the reason we decide that we can't be, do, or have who we actually want to be. We can't have what we want. We can't do what we want because of these past traumas. Now, if we're going up steps, every step we take, we have to drop a piece more of this. Does that make sense? And it's tough. It's tough. Particularly for old souls. But the barrier that we put up, the reason that we have this trauma, is that, sorry, I thought it was your hand going up the entire. The reason we have this barrier is because the subconscious mind says, I can cope with saying, well, I don't want to fall in love again because my partner died, and that's your trauma. And you've used that, and it's kind of an excuse not to move on. Now, what is so fantastic, actually, in the universal workings is that actually when this pain is pushing you so far, you need to be able to know that the universe is pulling you with love. So the fear is pulling you down, the universe is pulling you back up with love, but you kind of have to loop through this pain to come out the other side. And once you do, you can actually feel it physically now, because it's natural feeling around you that you're dropping the trauma, you're dropping the reason behind the trauma. But when you say, oh, I don't have any money because, what is that barrier? What is the fault? Whose fault is it that you're not happy? And then you ask the question, what is stopping me being, doing, or having all of that? That first thing that comes into the mind is the important one. The rest is making it up. Do you see? So if you said, well, I'd like a huge mansion, what's stopping me? And the first thing that comes up is, I don't deserve it. The next thing will come up is, well, I can't afford it anyway. Do you see? There is no lack in the universe. It wasn't designed for lack. That's a man-made product of our life. Nothing is lack. We can have as much trauma in our life as we like. Do you see? Even when we think we're in lack, we're getting an abundance of lack. It'll come in and come in and come in abundance. So if we're staying in this trauma vibration and we're not prepared to go past what we thought the trauma was and go into a secondary third stage, which could have stemmed from 2 years old, 4 years old, it's all before 7, the one behind here is before the age of 7. When you can look at that, you will feel as though you've taken the accelerator up, not the accelerator, what's it called? Escalator, the escalator up. Because suddenly this becomes doable. Everything becomes lighter, everything. So if you're feeling in a kind of stuck, even the word stuck is a misnomer, because you're getting, again, it's like quicksand. If you're stuck, you're not stuck, you keep moving, but you're just getting in it deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what's happening. It's so, everything is so more accelerated now. Because we signed up for this, we are going to the real purpose of our own soul journey. So we can stop and say, I had incredibly cruel parents. I didn't. I have incredibly loving parents. But you could say I have incredibly cruel, that is why I don't speak up for myself. That is why I don't have the confidence. That's why, whatever those reasons are, and you've used that as your excuse, if you like. But that is the blockage and the barrier that says, well, what is behind that? What's behind that? And you may find one incident that it was beyond the cruelty that you thought it was. It's even further back behind that. And that's what we're going into now. And the only way we can find what this is, strangely, is by straining. So it's like having a bungee around your middle, and you go and strain and strain. And when the passion to become this is greater than the pain of staying here, will move, will shift. When the desire to be more of who you are, knowing day by day that we're further and further into enlightenment, and yet you're feeling synchron more and more, it's sort of here, you know that you're just about to break through a pain barrier if you allow it. Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. And it's literally a body of pain that we've put around ourselves for protection, absolute protection. So when we ask that question, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What the second question is, why don't I have that now? And if, say, you're always angry, you say, well, because I've always, the only way my family ever sorted out a problem was confrontation. So I'd like to be more compassionate. I'd like to be calmer in that sort of situation. Do you see? I don't need now to follow the pattern. But what you do is go back into that trauma and say, well, what happened when we had that family argument at Christmas in the Grand Hotel in London, for instance? And then you might pop up this little memory that was an embarrassing memory. So you've used this as your barrier for not going any further, but then you actually find the trauma has another label on it. It's not just cruel parents, it's the trauma of embarrassment. Now, the embarrassment and shame can be a tremendous sticking point in the energetics here. The embarrassment stops confidence. You don't ever want to talk in public. You don't want to be seen. All of that from embarrassment. You think because of poor parents you stopped here, you don't want to do these things. And then you go into this and you find out that actually you're embarrassed at school when you're doing a school play. And it had nothing to do with that what you've given me the reason for. You know, I know somebody who had a car accident and he uses that car accident. If I hadn't had the car accident, I'd be able to do X, Y, Z. So that's his stoppage. Actually, if he looked behind the car accident, the trauma originated, the seed of the trauma, if you like, originated before that. Now, the reason why is because the seed of the trauma is the seed of the soul journey we decided to take on this time. So if the seed of the trauma is, say, for somebody in a car accident, you get more attention when you're poorly. The trauma was perhaps one of his siblings always being poorly and getting more attention than he did. So supposing that guy was going to drown, but the brother was getting more attention, the belief would be you have to be poorly to get love and attention. Therefore, he would cause a car accident so that he could get more love and attention and still not be satisfied with that until he recognized in himself that he wasn't giving himself love and attention, he was blaming the car accident. But the car accident actually wasn't the seed of the problem. Do you see? Seed of the problem was probably behind, or would have been behind that. And the car accident, the main thing that you think it is actually an accumulation. So why do we do this on this soul journey? Because we've done so many lifetimes here, we wanted to be in on the grand finale. We want to cross the finishing line and be there, don't we? Wouldn't it be a shame if we'd done all this and all this work and then just dropped out? Much, much more exciting to think, okay, I have invited to myself a lot of pain in various ways. And that could be through multiple deaths. It could be through multiple rejections. It could be multiple health problems, multiple money problems, which comes down to survival problems. Any of those could have been the purpose of your soul journey. This is where it's really exciting to start looking at patterns of behavior in the people that have been around you when you are in this trauma. Patterns of behavior. Yeah? So if you have, let's go for a controlling partner who likes to know your every movement, every way you go, everything you do, you will go back into previous partners and find that they all carry those same attributes, if you like, so that you can look at that in you. And we keep pointing out that this is a soul journey for you, but there's part of us as humans that little person in us says, but I want to be able to blame my childhood, I want to be able to blame my parents, I want to be able to blame the fact I was adopted, or that we didn't have any money, or all of those things, or I wasn't healthy from day one. The next step is to say, now why would I choose a life in a wheelchair, for instance? Why would I, what if this was for my soul journey, why would I choose, what a strange thing to choose, but what would I choose from that? And the only way to find that is to find the patterns that you're having over and over again. So with finances, if you're finding that money flows in but goes out much quicker, find out the patterns of the people around you and your childhood. Now, then you can look and say, right, well, my childhood patterning, we were feast and famine in our house. It was feast and famine. We either had an awful lot of money or we had none. It was great fun either way, but it was a feast and famine. So because I chose a secure family, I think because I was just going to have such a rough ride, I just put this in like, well, I better come into a loving family if they have to put up with this from me. So we came into the financial thing of joy of feast and famine. Now I can put financial problems down to that, or I can look behind that and see what my soul purpose was. And the soul purpose maybe is to see that it doesn't matter who you are, what you have, whether you're a multi-millionaire or a beggar on the street, we are all equal. And what a more wonderful way of showing me than to have a father who was very, very rich one day and nothing broke the next day. And then within a few years, he's very, very rich again. Do you see, it was this feast, famine, feast, famine. So that is where you look behind it and you say, okay, who else was like that? And am I like that now? Is that the reflection of me? So have I picked up a belief that if you have something, it gets taken away, but it's okay, it comes back again? Rather than this belief that you can have something and then you can have more and then you can have more and then you can have more. So it's just a little thought. There's a little tweak in the thought process, but it's an aha moment. Oh, I see. The repeat pattern of my childhood has made me do the same thing. And what's interesting now is if you can recognize the pattern of your soul journey, you'll find you have been swinging in and out of that for quite some time. So the energy and the effort needed now isn't that great. You know, just like on a swing as a child, when you start, you're quite slow. There's backwards and forwards, and quite often you have to go more backwards to come forwards. That's okay. 2 steps backwards, 1 step forward, 2 steps, 1 step. Actually, there is a tipping point where you're going 1 step back into the pain, but it's not nearly as deep as it was, and 2 steps forward. And then one step back and, oh, there's no pain left. Like, you mean I can go forward and forward and forward and forward? And it's painful to go through the pain, because emotional pain is more painful than physical pain. We talked this last week. The emotional pain of the trauma of an accident is far, far greater than the actual physical in most cases. We need to look back in that and say, right, okay, I have built up this, all cars are dangerous, or I go by bike, or I prefer to go by train, or I come back before that. Actually, it wasn't that car accident, it was something behind that. It was his dad who drove like a lunatic and frightened the life out of him when he was 7, trying to give him a thrill. Something behind there. And then you can have that enlightenment and go, oh, yeah, I get that. But that's not true now. And then just by actually telling yourself it's not true now and pushing the save button and saying, well, actually, I prefer to drive in cars and I prefer to be safe, you've cleared that clutter of your soul journey, and we can move on. But because we get dragged with this, we put this out maybe in one meditation or one little thought, and it's a bit like exercising. You do one little press up and think we're going to look like Adonis. You know, we have to be vigilant. We have to keep going and say, right, okay, if this is my dream, if I want, this is who I really believe I am, and I can have all the material things as well, what really does that look like? If I took all who I didn't think I was, or I think I am, took all that away, what does that core person actually want? Because what you're wanting is what you're feeling you're lacking. Do you understand? So you're thinking you're lacking it, and herein lies that little, yes, push the red button, not the blue one. Because you're thinking you want it, you still have this old stuff vibrating all the time. This is constant. This is why it's so vital now to look at all this trauma and find out what you're dragging behind you. What is this? What is it that is between here and here? What is this? It's the butt. Get your butt out of the way. What is that butt? And once you start working through that butt, you will work into here, back into pain. And you'll say, oh, well, I'm not going to think about that now, then I'll go make a cup of tea. And you'll watch how quickly your subconscious mind stops you going into the thoughts of that. So you need to be keen. You need to be keen to work on yourself so long. And that's not easy, because we haven't been taught to watch ourselves. However, the more we can work on ourselves, the more we can help other people on this journey. The only reason I'm successful at what I do is because I walk my walk and I talk my talk. Tara said yesterday that you must have your down days. Well, no, actually. Why must I? Why? Why would I? What a funny question, really. Do you see? You must have your down days. No, I mustn't. I choose not to. Now, I'm not saying I'm constantly happy and gay and skipping around. No. There's an awful lot of this still going on. However, this is now a project. It's interesting. So when I feel uncomfortable or something lowers my vibration, rather than take my whole body and my whole system into that, I stay here and look at it. Oh, that's interesting. My vibration just dropped. Something just triggered me there. What was that? That was interesting. What pattern does that follow? And before you know it, you've looked at a pattern and think, oh yeah, I choose not to have that pattern anymore now. So the feast famine, for instance, once I've recognized the pattern, I can say, well, I don't need to do that anymore. I can just have feast and feast and feast and feast and feast. And just occasionally I'll remind myself by putting on some meditation at night. Meditations at night, or guided meditations at night, are fantastic, because actually they're getting into the subconscious mind, and you've got nothing interrupting it. And there's one that is by Brian Scott, and it says, large sums of money come to me easily from multiple sources in a continuous stream for the good of all that I get to keep. And it's one that when I suddenly, if my money dries up on the flow, I put that on at night just to remind my subconscious mind not to sink back into this. And it was making me laugh, because my little bits of money were coming in everywhere. And the other day I had my fence at the back of the garden done. And the gardener, the chap, we discussed it, and it was my fence, and it was me to pay it. And he said, "Oh, that's all right." And I said, "Oh, yes, it's only a few hundred. It's absolutely fine." I was in the garden day before yesterday, and the chap said to me, "Oh, excuse me." He said, "Over the fence." He said, "There's an envelope there." Handed me over the envelope with half the money for the fence. I said, "I didn't expect that." He said, "No, but we share the fence, so I'd like to do that." And I thought, well, it's coming in from multiple places, from all sorts of sources. How joyful was that? Who would expect an envelope with cash in it over your garden fence? That is the exciting. And then you think, yes, it's working. How exciting! Before you know it, something else comes in. I walked out to my car, and there's a penny sitting outside the driver's door. I pick that up, and I bring that joy in, as much joy as the money coming over the fence. Because what it's doing is confirming my affirmations to the universe. Money comes into me in large sums in multiple ways. Do you see? For the good of all. So him handing that money over to me made him feel good, made me feel good. Picking up the penny, that made me feel good. Do you see? It's for the good of all. And then you start moving into, oh, wow. So actually everything is flowing. It is flowing. And the universe, the moment you put your magnet on, the universe starts lighting it up again. And this is the next exciting thing. I think I've been learning and teaching, as far as I know, for forever. But I'm still learning. Every week when we do these talks, there's another insight. There's another, oh my God, I get that even deeper now, to a deeper level. I don't think all the time we're on this journey we ever stop expanding our knowledge. And there's that little sort of drop that says, yeah, I get that a little bit deeper. And that's what I hope from these talks, that you get that. You think, yeah, that little layer is really fantastic. And again, I will use me as an example, because I think by example, it does, I hopefully help. I have a garage attached to my kitchen with a door through, and I wanted a conversion for some time, and I've drawn all the pictures and everything's there ready. And the subconscious mind going, you're never going to afford that, how are you going to afford that, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff, who are you going to get to do it? And it's been nearly there, and then I've sabotage myself. Nearly there, and I sabotage myself. We all do it. For that bit that we don't think we can have, we sabotage. And the other day I had a friend over, and she was saying, oh, what's happened to the garage conversion? I said, oh, do you know what? I was getting myself so tied up with why I was stopping myself having it, I decided to drop it from my thoughts completely and just leave it alone. Because sometimes when you want something and it's not there, the strength of the lack of it's not here is so strong, you can't actually override it. There's something so strong in the mind. When you get to that stage, it's better just to drop the whole thing. Just let it, just let it go. And let it settle and let it clear. And the universe will bring you other things in to help shift that blockage that's between you. So there's me, there's my conversion. And the only thing between it is, well, I think at the moment, the only thing between it is money. Now, strangely enough, looking at the patterns of behavior and everything else, there's a lot more behind it. Lot more behind it. I won't go into that now, but it's a lot more behind it. Now, this friend was over with me, and again, if you read in the Bible, where two or more speak in my name. So when you want something, all you need to do is start talking to somebody as though you already have it again. And she said to me, what's happened to your conversion? And I said, oh, I turned my magnet off. And she said, go on and explain that to me. So I said, I had a magnet, which was my conversion. And I knew that with that magnet, that was the conversion, I was dragging all this stuff. So in my mind, one day, about 3 months ago, actually beginning of lockdown, I thought this is a good reason, this is a good time just to drop the magnet. So in my head, I turned it off. So I said to her, but I think it's about time we turned it on again. So I said, oh, so I started talking to her about the different windows. I started talking about this and that. Now, the chap that was doing the drawings for me has had them since last November. And excuses, reasons. He hasn't done them, has done them. And I've asked him and I've said, I'll get someone else to do them or you can do them, but either way. But there was a blockage there. So I sat back and thought, right, I can leave him to have his blockage. Where someone was going to look out for the window people, he hadn't done that. So I had blocked it in every single way. Everybody that said they were going to do something, each one had an excuse why they didn't do it. Now I knew that actually their excuses was only because of my blockage. Do you see? Because it's all happening for me. So when I ignited, I said to her, I think I'll turn my magnet back on again. I'm going to do it now. And we started discussing it. I knew, I felt it in my heart. I suddenly felt that I was radiating, as I was talking to her, I was radiating this conversion. For the first time, I was talking to her from having it, not having it. The difference was probably quite minute, but in my heart, the difference in feeling was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. It's like walking around at 16 stone saying, well, I feel 10. You don't, yeah? And then suddenly you do, and suddenly you are 10 stone, and it's all falls into place. It's that falling into place where suddenly the desire it's on its way. It's been created. And that afternoon, I went for a garden visit in my son's garden. He said, oh, Mum, I've been looking at windows. Now, again, not forgetting, I kind of set all this up back in October, and nobody's done anything since October. So I said, oh, have you, son? Fantastic. We started discussing that. That, while I was sitting in his garden, I got a text message from my son from another mother who's doing the drawings. He said, have you got time for a cuppa tonight? I want to discuss the drawings. All in one day. All in one day. And other things like it. I won't bore you with that now. But I turned this magnet on, and by discussing it with my friend and feeling it and not feeling the lack. So if what that was that you don't have yet, if you think about that, in between that and that, there's a feeling somewhere of lack. Somewhere you can't deserve it. Somewhere you don't deserve, can't afford it. Somehow you're not fit enough, young enough. It doesn't matter what that is. That is your blockage. So it doesn't matter how much you want this, how much you believe in the power of thought, how much you understand the law of intention, until you get that feeling that slots in, it goes, actually, that's, yeah, why not? Why not? And it's the why not. Yeah, it's the why not. Why not? Why can't you? Oh, because I've always thought I have to have this backwards and forwards. Tara.
So we have a question, Wendy. It's, do we have to always ask the universe for what we need or want? Or does the universe realize that we need something for our soul journey?
Yeah, the universe always gives you what you want, what you need. Not always what you think you want. Yeah. However, when you always, in retrospect, look back and see what you received, you see it was better than you thought, anything you thought you wanted. You understand? Because if you're prepared to work on what you want, what you need comes to you anyway. Yeah? All your needs are all met, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here. It's the wants. And it's the wants that hold the lack. So it's not that the universe isn't giving you your wants, it's giving you the feeling of lack. So it's giving you what you're putting out. Do you see? So if you want something and you're not getting it, you think the universe is withholding it because you're not good enough, or you've done something wrong, or something you're not perfect enough yet. All of that is man-made religion stuff. Yeah, If what you want hasn't yet come in, it's because the dominant vibration is, I don't have it, I can't have it, it's not here, I'm not sure if I can ever have it, or it's so far in the distance. That dominant vibration is like having the boiler on in the background. You can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it when it switches on, hear it when it's switched off. That is our dominant vibration. But the universe will always, because we had an agreement and a soul agreement, and we've got our higher self working for the soul purpose that I was telling you, which is the gap between here and here. Yeah, we have not just our little life sorting what we're doing out here. We have our soul purpose, which is giving us what we need for the soul journey, soul purpose. So all of us would have wanted happy families, a lovely, safe, secure childhood. And you may think, I always wanted that. However, for your soul purpose, you needed to or wanted to experience rejection and loneliness or whatever that was. Do you see? So you get what you need in that way. What differs is the choices that we make, what we do with that. So you could have the experiences that you've chosen for yourself, for your soul journey, and you could end up very bitter and twisted. However, you could have the soul journey experiences that you said you wanted, and each time you come out of that experience with unconditional love. And that's usually, particularly with relationships. If there is any relationship with anybody in your life that isn't from your heart unconditional love, they are your best friend, because they're giving you the opportunity to see what you feel they're not giving you that you wanted. Because they have given you exactly what you wanted. And the more you can't forgive them, the more you know that person is actually your soulmate, your soul along the journey. But until you've passed that soul contract with them, which you agreed long before you came into this lifetime, you're going to stay on the same stair with them. If you go 2 stairs differently, but you're looking back blaming them for your lack of whatever it is, maybe somebody went and took all your money, in a divorce, and they took all your money. So you're looking back and going, well, I would have been rich if it hadn't been for that person taking all my money in my divorce. It's their fault, because if you're looking back here, you're not in the picture, which is, what was that about for my soul journey? What was that about? Well, it could be as simple as understanding that money flows, and it's our barrier about the money that stops it flowing. It's the barrier about us deserving that stops things flowing to us, not anything the universe decides. The universe is not a separate entity. We are all one mind. We are all one intelligence. And therefore, we are all in this together. The only separation is the separation that we have just taken on as a choice in a human body. Once you awaken to the fact that we are not just a consciousness in a human body, we're part of the consciousness, the same enormous consciousness that created worlds, you cannot put that back in a box and be this little person. Although we can, because we do. We swing back into it, and life gets us down, or some drama happens, and we stay in the drama for a couple of hours, weeks, days, however long we want to stay in that earthly drama. Now, all the time we're in our earthly drama, we are just literally making more and more and more drama for ourselves. And we will magnetize to ourselves more and more people in their own dramas. Before we know it, we're overwhelmed in life drama. Now we say, do you want to live in life drama anymore? Or would you prefer to find out why you need that drama? What is it about drama that gets the attention? What is it about the drama that's screaming? Something's hidden in here that needs attention. Do you see? this is how you really, really, really can bring it back to you, and you can accelerate your own soul journey by ticking your own boxes, by saying, oh yeah, I get that now. I magnetize myself to myself manipulative people. Now, why is that? Why time and time again? And you say, well, because it's easier to say stay small, and it's easier to let them control me. I'm safe when I'm controlled. And you will be in that sort of relationship until you say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm worth more. I can control. I don't need to give somebody else my power. But that was a soul journey confidence issue. Because when you are on that path where you wake up knowing you're part of the system, knowing you're part of the great consciousness, you don't have to beg. Oh, praying helps obviously, because when you're praying, you're using your vibration in you're coordinating your thoughts and the universal thoughts. You're getting everything in line. When you're under here, when you're looking from here, your drama and why does this happen to me, and whose fault is this, and what can I do about it, and how can I get out of it? You're just churning in your own stuff. Your higher self's going, well, when you're ready to look at it, we'll move on. You can take lifetimes if you want to. This is why, if you want to take hold of yourself and you really, really, really would like to experience this heaven on earth that you can create, we need to look at this pain and see where it is now, and see what's holding us, and see what's holding us back. Because I can promise you, the moment you recognize whatever that is, whatever that pain is, you can let it go and dissolve it. And you ask the universe, you ask the angels, lift this from me, please. Help me to release this pain. Not just for me now, but for my past, for my present, and my future. Because you're talking directly to an intelligent energy. And you're requesting directly to an intelligent energy, and the intelligent energy immediately answers the request. If you are bringing up energy to be released, the universe immediately opens the windows and lets that energy be released. But if you stop halfway and just say, well, I don't want to feel like this anymore, I don't want to feel like this anymore, I'm just going to go take myself for a walk, all you do is put all of this back in its box until the next time when somebody or something come round to trigger it again and again and again, until you say, hang on a minute, I recognize that pattern. I don't want anybody else in my life now. If everybody that you have ever come across, I had a client once, and it was as she lost 4 husbands. Her parents died when they were younger, and then she successfully, in succession, lost 4 husbands who had died. So I said to her, well, what's the pattern? What is the pattern? And actually, when we uncovered it, the pattern was that she liked the lame duck, she liked the poorly person, because they relied on her, they needed her, they gave her her needs, because they were so clingy, because they were poorly. So she deliberately chose poorly people to give her self-worth. Understand? So once she understood that, the next person she met didn't have to go down that route, didn't have to be one that she pulled into herself to experience that pain again, because she moves through that. She moves through that fact. Or you might have lost so many loves and life around you, you will put a block on your heart and say, right, well, I'm safe and not ever loving again. And I'm happy that I have had a love, but all power to everybody else, I'm not going there again. Now, that isn't unconditional love, is it? For yourself or anybody else. That's protection and survival mode. I don't want to be hurt again. Therefore, I'm going to put up this barrier that says no more pain. And therefore, I can't go out and love. There's lots of little squirrel things, excuse me, that go on behind that we stop, and we've made our excuse, we've made our reason. Yeah, I don't want to get married again because marriage is for babies and I'm past baby age, therefore there's no point in getting married again. Look behind that and say, no, I don't want to get married again because all men are all females are money grabbers. Yeah, but you've made up your mind, you've made your excuse, you put your label on it, and then you're not prepared to go any further than that. or I'm safe where I am in this relationship. I know I'm not as happy as I could be, but I'm going to stay in this relationship because this is safe here. Your higher self will be pushing this to say, no, leave this relationship. Now, come on, it's done everything you can. It's time to let it go. But everything in your subconscious mind is going to say, no, it's too painful to leave a relationship. Now, you might take that back to your first boyfriend, first girlfriend who left you in that relationship and you're carrying that trauma. But it could go right back to the fact that you were abandoned on the hospital doorstep. You need to go back in that and have a look. Have a look. Have a look at all these little things, because the more you can discover about your patterns, the more you can find out what it was that you came to help clear, not just for you, but for the universe. So you're clearing past, present, future for you. And then you go on and say, and for anybody else in this vibration. So you're literally sort of opening the windows for anybody else so that that can come up in them and can be released as well. So the want, when you want something, find out why you're not having it. I want it, I haven't it because I want it, but I can't have it. And then really undo that but. Really look at the but. And then look at it again. And invite the universe, say, right, I'm on it now. Yeah, like a little secret trail, you know, one of those hide and seek trails, Easter trail, where you have to go from clue to clue to clue to clue to clue. It's step by step by step by step by step. If they uncovered the whole of this in one foul swoop, we would overload the system again. Yeah, which is what happened to me. Now we don't have to do that. We just have to say, yeah, I'm willing to see the next step. This is really scary. And you swim back in here and you go, oh my God, this is really fearful, but I'm ready to see the next step. Oh, okay. And before you know it, you're looking back on this with real interest, thinking, gosh, that was almost another lifetime now. I can't believe there was a time I was counting pennies to buy a loaf of bread. It seems like a different person. And when you go into that, wow, I feel like a different person, then you know you've done an incredible soul growth. If you're saying, I'm not who I am, and this isn't who I am, and I used to be so, and you know, you're that disappointment in yourself. Oh, I used to be young and fit. I used to play golf every day. I used to, what's all that about? Whose fault is that? Yeah, I'm too old. I'm too old to leave this relationship. Where would I go? What would I do? What's all that? Do you see? It's all this. I'm giving up on my soul journey, and I'll just live it out until the day I die. And you can live there fairly contentedly, but we didn't sign up for that. We didn't sign up for that. Not old souls. Old souls came down to do it the hard way. The old souls. I know I keep saying that's a strange thing to say, but the older soul in the older body carries that wisdom, carries that knowledge. That's why this awakening is bit by bit now, bit by bit. And each of you listening to this knows that. You know that you're, just by tuning into this, you're saying to the universe, I'm ready to create more, I'm ready to learn more, I'm ready to be more. You know, there are so many that get off because they're not ready yet to go into this pain and go back further into the pain, that they'll just step off for a little while, and then they'll meet somebody who will able to teach them there at that level that they're at. Do you see? We have to do these things very slowly for ourselves too, be gentle on ourselves, but also find out. And then when you start creating, you have this intention then, yeah, do you know what? I do want a bigger house with whatever it is outside. And I would like to be driving a blah, blah, blah. And also, I'd like to be more compassionate. I'd like to be more loving. I'd like to give more. I'd like to receive more. Therefore, I'd like to give more. And you work it all out, yeah? And you work toward that. So, okay, if I wanted to move to a bigger house, where would that be? Because if you don't ask that question, how can the universe possibly magnetize that to you? If from here you're radiating out, yeah, I can really feel that. I can see that. I can see me emigrating to South Africa. Whatever that feeling is, the moment you actually feel it, the same way as my garage conversion, when I was talking to my friend, I suddenly recognized I felt it. I felt that shift between talking about it, wondering if it was ever going to happen, and how on earth it was going to happen, with the knowledge that I have to keep thinking it's going to happen, otherwise it wouldn't happen anyway. You see all that complication, because this is months ago. We've accelerated so quickly now that there's no time for that now. There's the recognition that I feel this, oh wow, I get that, I get that, I get that. And hopefully I can pass it on to you too. It's that shift. You need to radiate out on the magnet, on what it is you want, and how, not how it's going to make you feel when you get there, but how do you feel about that, and where is the gap? Where's the gap? What's the gap? And before you know it, as soon as you turn your magnet on and you've cleared this is how I know I cleared all the debris that was attached to this conversion. I knew I cleared the debris because the moment I turned it back on again, everything starts coming in. It's like the universe goes, well, when you're ready, we've got all the time in what they've got all the time in what. There's no time in the universe. There is no time in the universe. I could have sat on it for another 5 years, but I decided I really wanted to look at that. Do you understand? And it's not, I can't. It's why I'd love. Sorry, did you have a question, Helen?
Wow, Wendy, that was absolutely amazing. There are no questions. I think you have given us plenty to think about. That was absolutely fascinating. Wonderful.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll say cheerio to everybody who's on YouTube. Turn it off.
Thank you. Bye-bye.